back for story time. Today we're going to read a story about Mappo, the merry monkey. And this is chapter 1, and it's called Mappo and the Coconut. Once upon a time, not so very many years ago, there lived in a tree, in a big woods, a little monkey boy. It was in a far-off country where this little monkey lived, so far that you would have to travel many days in the steam cars and in a steamship to get there. The name of the little monkey boy was Mappo, and he had 2 brothers and 2 sisters, also a papa and a mama. One sister was named Chew, and the other was named Chaw, and one brother was called Jacko, and the other Bumpo. They were funny names, but then, you see, monkeys are funny little creatures, anyhow, and have to be called funny names, or things would not come out right. Mappo was the oldest of the monkey children, and he was the smartest. Perhaps that's why he had so many adventures. And I am going to tell you some of the wonderful things that happened to Mappo while he lived in the wonderful things that happened to Mappo while he lived in the big woods. And afterwards, when he was caught by a hunter and sent off to live in a circus. But we will begin in the beginning, if you please. Mappo, as I have said, lived in a tree in the woods. Now, it might seem funny for you to live in a tree, but it came very natural to Mappo. Lots of creatures live in trees. There are birds and squirrels and katydids. Of course, they do not stay in the trees all the time, any more than you boys and girls stay in your houses all the while. They go down on the ground to play occasionally. But you will find the safest place for you is the tree, said Mappo's mother to him one day, when he had been playing down on the ground with his brothers and sisters. And while they were down playing a game, something like your game of tag, all of a sudden came along a big, striped tiger with long teeth. Run, run fast, everybody, run, yelled Mappo in the queer, chattering language monkeys use. His brothers and his sisters scrambled up into the tree with their house, where their house was, and Mappo scrambled up after them. He was almost too late, for the tiger nearly caught Mappo by the tail. But the little monkey boy managed to get out of the way, and then he sat down on a branch in front of the treehouse where he lived. That wasn't very nice of that tiger to chase us, said Mappo, when he could catch his breath. No, indeed, said Mrs. Monkey. Tigers are not often nice. After this, you children had better stay in the tree, until you are a little larger, at least. But it's more fun on the ground, said Mappo. That may be, said Mrs. Monkey, as she looked down through the branches to see if the tiger was still waiting to catch one of her little ones. But Mappo, you and your brothers and sisters can run much better and faster in a tree than on the ground, said Mrs. Monkey. And this is so. A monkey can get over the ground pretty fast on his 4 legs, as you can easily tell if you have ever watched a monkey. But they can travel much faster up in trees, for there is a hand on the end of each monkey's 4 limbs, and his curly tail is as good as another hand for grasping branches. So you see, a monkey really has 5 hands with which to help himself along in the trees, and that is why he can swing himself along so swiftly from one branch to another. That is why it is safer for monkeys to be up in a tree than on the ground. There are very few other animals that can catch monkeys. Once the 5-handed creatures are up among the leaves, and monkeys can travel a long way through the forest without ever coming down to the ground. They swing themselves along from one tree to another for miles and miles through the forest. Is it safe to go down now, Mama? Asked Mappo of his mother in monkey talk. This was a little while after the scare. "No, not yet," she said. "That tiger may still be down there, waiting and hiding. You and Jacko and Bumpo and Chew and Chaw stay up here, and pretty soon I will give you a new lesson." "Oh, a new lesson!" exclaimed Jacko. "I wonder what kind it will be. We have learned to swing by our tails and to hang by one paw. Is there anything else we can learn?" "Many things," said Mamma Monkey, for she and her husband had been teaching the children the different things monkeys must know to get along in the woods. So the four little monkeys sat in the tree in front of their home and waited for their mother to teach them a new lesson. If you had seen Mappo's house, you would have not thought it a very nice one. It was just some branches of a tree twined together over a sort of platform or floor of dried branches. About all the house was used for was to keep off some of the rain that fell very heavily in the country where Mappo lived. But this house suited the monkeys very well. It did not have to be a warm one, for it was never winter in the land where they lived. It was always hot and warm, sometimes too warm. There was never any snow or ice, but instead just rain. It rained half the year and the other half it was dry. So you see, Mappo's house was only needed to keep off the rain. Mappo and the other monkeys did not stay in their houses very much. They went in them to sleep, but that was about all. The rest of the time, they jumped about in the trees looking for things to eat. And once in a while, when there was no danger, they went down on the ground. "I guess that tiger is gone now," said Jacko to Mappo. "Let's go down on the ground again and get some of those green things that are good to eat." The little monkeys had been eating some fruit, like green pears, which they liked very much when the tiger came along and frightened them. Tigers would rather eat monkeys than green pears, I guess. "Yes, I think we can go down now," said Mappo, looking through the leaves and seeing nothing of the savage striped tiger. "You'd better ask Mama," said Chew, one of the little girl monkeys. "Indeed I will not. I can see as good as she can that the tiger isn't there," exclaimed Mappo. You see, monkey children don't want to mind and be careful any more than human children do. Mappo started to climb down the tree, holding onto the branches by his four paws and by his tail. He was almost to the ground, and Jacko and Bumpo were following him, when all of a sudden there was a dreadful roar, and out sprang the tiger again. "Oh, run, quick, jump back!" screamed Mappo, and he and his brothers got back to their treehouse not a second too soon. The tiger snapped his teeth and growled. He was so mad at being fooled the second time. "Here! What did I tell you, monkeys? You must stay up in the tree!" chattered Mrs. Monkey as she jumped out of the house. She had been inside shaking up the piles of leaves that were beds for her family. We thought the tiger was gone," said Mappo, who was trembling because he was so frightened. "But he wasn't," said Bumpo, shivering. "No, he was right there," added Jacko, looking around. "Yes, and he'll be there for some time," said Mrs. Monkey. "I told you to be careful. Now you just sit down, all of you, and don't you dare stir out of this tree until I tell you to. I'll let you know when the tiger is gone." And she looked down through the leaves towards the ground. "He is still there," said Mrs. Monkey, for she caught sight of the stripes of the tiger's skin. She had very sharp eyes, and though the patches of sunlight through the jungle leaves hid the bad creature somewhat, Mrs. Monkey could tell he was there, waiting to catch one of her little children. "Your father will be coming along soon," said Mrs. Monkey to her children. "The tiger may lay in wait for him. I'd better let him know he must be careful as he comes along through the woods." So Mrs. Monkey raised up her head and called as loudly as she could in her chattering talk. You would not have understood what she said, even if you had heard it, though there are some men who say they can understand monkey talk. But the other monkeys in the woods heard what the mother of Mappo was saying, and they too began to shout in their language. "Look out for the tiger! There's a tiger hiding down under the bushes! Look out for him!" jungle was filled with the sound of the chattering of the monkeys, as one after another they began to shout. It was a warning, they shouted, a warning to Mr. Monkey to be careful when he came near his home, to be careful of the tiger lying in wait for him. My, what a noise those monkeys made, shouting and chattering in the jungle. You could hear them from a mile or more. It was their way of telephoning to Mappo's papa. Monkeys cannot really use telephones, you know. That is, not the way we do, but they can shout one after another so as to be heard a long way off. First one would chatter something about the tiger, then another monkey farther off would take up the cry, and so on until Mr. Monkey heard it. So it was as good as a telephone anyhow. As soon as Mappo's papa, who had gone a long distance from the treehouse to look for some bananas for his family, as soon as he heard the shouting about the tiger, he said to himself, "Well, I must get home as quickly as I can to look after my family, but I'll be careful. I hope Mappo and the others will stay in the tall trees." For Mr. Monkey well knew that if his wife and little ones stayed up in the high trees, the tiger could not very well get at them, though tigers can sometimes climb low trees. Meanwhile, Mrs. Monkey was keeping good watch over her little ones. They had no idea now of going down on the ground to play, at least as long as the tiger was hiding near them in the bushes. "But I wish we had something to do," said Mappo, who was a merry little chap, always laughing, shouting, running about, or playing tricks on his brothers and sisters. Just then he thought of a little trick. He went softly up behind Jacko and tickled him on the ear with a long piece of a tree branch. Jacko thought it was a fly and put up his paw to brush away. Mappo pulled the tree branch away just in time, and while Jacko was peeling the skin off a bit of fruit to eat it, Mappo again tickled his brother. "Oh, that fly!" chattered Jacko. "If I get a hold of him!" And again he brushed with his paw at what he thought was a fly. This made Mappo laugh. The merry little monkey laughed so hard that the next time he tried to tickle Jacko, Mappo's paw slipped, and Jacko, turning around, saw his brother. Oh, so it was you and not a fly!" cried Jacko. He dropped his fruit and raced after his brother. Up through the tree, nearly to the top, went the two monkeys as fast as they could. They laughed and chattered, for it was all in fun. Finally, Jacko caught Mappo by the tail. "Oh, let go!" begged Mappo. "Will you stop tickling me?" asked Jacko. "I guess so. Maybe," laughed Mappo, trying to pull his tail out of his brother's paw. "No, you'll have to say for sure before I let you go." Jacko pulled pretty hard on Mappo's tail. Then Jacko let go and started to climb down the tree to the little platform in front of the monkey house. But Mappo was not done with his jokes. He scrambled down faster than did Jacko, and finally, when Jacko was not looking, Mappo grasped the end of his brother's tail and gave it a hard pinch. "Ouch! Oh, dear mama! The tiger's got me!" cried Jacko. "Ha ha! That's the time I fooled you!" laughed Mappo in his chattering way. Then Jacko gave chase after Mappo again, and the two monkey boys were having lots of fun in the trees when Mrs. Monkey called them. "Jacko! Mappo! Come down here! It is time for your new lesson! And you too, Chew and Chaw! You'll have time to practice a little bit before your father comes home!" And she looked down to see if the tiger was there. But the bad animal had gone away. He had heard the monkeys talking about him and sending a warning all through the jungle where they lived. A jungle, you know, is a great big woods. "What lesson is it going to be, Mama?" asked Mappo. "You'll soon see," she said. And Mrs. Monkey went into the treehouse and came out with a brown, shaggy thing about as big as a small football. Have you ever seen one of those? Only, of course, it was not a football. "Oh, what is it, Mama?" asked Chaw. "I know!" exclaimed Bumpo as he tried to climb under a branch and bumped his head. "Ouch!" he cried. That's why he was called Bumpo. He was always bumping his head, though it did not hurt him very much, for he was covered with a heavy growth of hair. "Well, What is it, if you know? Asked Mappo, for he was looking at the big round brown thing and trying to guess what it was. It's a new kind of banana, said Bumpo, for he and his brothers and sisters were very fond of the soft red and yellow fruit. No, it isn't a banana, said Mrs. Monkey. It's a cocoa nut. I never saw a cocoa nut as big as that, spoke Mappo, for his papa had brought some smaller round nuts to the treehouse and had said that they were cocoa nuts. The little monkeys had been allowed to eat any of the white meat inside of the coconut for they were too small for it then. Yes, went on Mrs. Monkey, you are now getting large enough to have some for your meals, so I am going to give you a lesson in how to open it. I thought it was white, said Chew. It is inside, said Mrs. Monkey. This coconut I now have has the outer shell still on it. That's why it is not round, like some you may have seen. Inside this soft covering is the round nut, and inside that round nut is the white meat. Now, Mappo, you are a smart little monkey. Let me see if you know how to open the coconut, and when you do, you may all have some to eat. Mappo took the coconut and looked at it. He turned it over and over in his paws. Then with his fingers he tried to pull it apart, but he could not. The nut was too hard for him. Next he tried to bite it open, but he could not. Let me try, I can open it, exclaimed Jacko. No, I'll do it, said Mappo. If you can't, I can, spoke Bumpo, and he gave a jump over towards Mappo. Once more he hit his head on a branch. Ouch, he chattered, rubbing the sore place with his paw. Mappo turned the coconut over and over again. He was looking for some hole in it through which he could put his paw and get out the white meat, but he saw none. Maybe I can open it, said Chew gently. No, we must let Mappo have a good try, said Mrs. Monkey. Then if he cannot do it, you may all have a turn. But it is a good lesson to know how to open a coconut. When you get to be big monkeys, you'll have to open a great many of them. Mappo was pulling and tearing at the hard husk of the coconut. If I had something sharp, I could tear it open, he said. Then he happened to look up in the tree, and he saw where a branch had been broken off, leaving a sharp point. Ha! I have it! He cried. He broke off the branch with the sharp point he soon had. He tore a hole in the outer husk of the coconut. He pulled the round nut out. I have it! He chattered. Yes, but it isn't good to eat yet, said Bumpo. How are you going to open the rest of it? Mappo did not know. Once more he tried to bite a hole, but he could not. All of a sudden the nut slipped from his paws and fell down to the ground. Oh, cried Mappo, and he started to climb down after the nut. My coconut is lost. Look out for the tiger, cried Jacko. Look out, Mappo! That's where we're going to end the story.
Why?
And we'll finish reading it another day. Thanks for listening. See you later.